Welcome to Lesson 34, Recognizing and Extending Arithmetic Sequences. We're going to talk about sequences, obviously, today. So we're going to start off with the definition of sequence, which is a list of numbers that follow a rule. So go ahead and write that in. Then we're also going to talk about what a term of a sequence is. A term of a sequence is each number in a sequence. And then we'll also write down what an arithmetic sequence is, because that's what we're going to be talking specifically about today. It's a type of sequence. And an arithmetic sequence is a list of numbers where the rule follows a constant difference. So each term has a constant difference between them. And we call that difference the common difference. So the common difference is the constant difference. Sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative, depending on if the sequence is going up or going down. So let's look at a couple of sequences here to determine if they are an arithmetic sequence or not. The first one, we have 11 to 4, and between 11 and 4 it goes down 7. So 11 minus 4 is 7. And then from 4 to negative 3 it also goes down 7. So 4 minus 7 is negative 3. And then negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. So each time it's going down 7 between each term. So yes, this is an arithmetic sequence. And it's also asking that we point out what the common difference is and the next two terms. So we represent the common difference usually as just D for difference. And the common difference is negative 7 because it's going down 7 each time. And then the next two terms would be negative 10 minus 7, which is negative 17, and negative 17 minus 7, which is negative 24. So there's our box of answers there. Okay, the next sequence here, we're going to look at what's between these. 4 to 8, it's going to go up 4, and then 8 to 16 goes up 8. 16 to 32 goes up 16. 32 to 64 goes up 32. So there is obviously a pattern here. This is definitely a sequence, but each time it's going up, it's not going up by the same amount, so it's not constant. Therefore, no, this is not an arithmetic sequence. Okay, moving on, we have a table here. Talking about arithmetic sequences, we use a couple of different rules or formulas. And for you to understand those rules and formulas, I've set up a table for you to fill in to kind of see how the sequence fits in with the formula. So looking at the term number 1, we call this the first term, or we call it A1. A1 is always the first term, which is signified in this box down here. So we're going to talk about a specific sequence that's going to start with 7. 7 is going to be the first term in this sequence. So the description over here, we're just going to write in as A1, which is the same thing that's over here. And you'll see why in a moment. The next one, the second term, we're going to make our common difference be 4. So the second term is going to be 7 plus 4. So over here in description, we're going to write A1 plus D. So we have the first term plus the common difference, which is 4. For the third term, we're going to have 7 plus 4, and then we're also going to add another 4. So for this one, we're taking the second term, which is right above it, 7 plus 4. So we're going to write A2 plus the common difference again, which is 4. So we have this matches this, and then we have plus the common difference. Okay, in the next box, we're going to have 7 plus 4 plus 4. It's really hard to write in these small boxes with this stylus pen. So that is, this is what's above it in the third box. And then we're going to add the common difference again. So this is a 3 plus D. Okay, these numbers are supposed to be slightly below the letter A. I know it doesn't look like it with the writing that I'm doing here, but okay, and then the next one's going to be 7 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, which is actually the fourth term, so we'll write A4, plus another 4, or plus D, which is the common difference. Okay, and then the last box we have the nth term. Now this is asking you to write a rule. So the nth term is going to be A and then n minus 1, because we're taking whatever was in the above box, which happens to be the one right before this term. So if this term is n, then we would take a n minus 1, which is the term before it, and then add 4. So over here, our rule is going to be a n minus 1, which is the previous term, plus d, the common difference. And you can see that this is the formula down here in the box. So hopefully that helps you understand where the formula comes from a little bit. Now we're going to practice using the formula. So we're going to use the formula to find the first 4 terms of an arithmetic sequence where A1 equals 5, A1 is the first term, and the common difference is -8, so that's going to be going down. So to find the first 4 terms, obviously we know what the first one is. Now we have to find the second one. So A2, the second term, would equal A2 minus 1 plus D, which is A1 plus D, and A1 is 5, so we're going to fill in 5, plus D, which is -8 over here. So 5 plus -8, and that equals -3. So that's the second term. And the third term, I know that you could probably figure these out in your head just by subtracting 8 from each previous term, but I want you to see how the formula works, because it becomes easier to use more difficult sequences if you know how to use the formula. So this would be A3 minus 1 plus D, which is the same thing as A2 plus D, and A2 we figured out is -3, so -3 plus D, which is -8, and that equals -11. And the last one, A4, is going to be A4 minus 1 plus D, which equals A3 plus D, which equals -11 plus -8, and that equals -19. So our first 4 terms are going to be positive 5, sorry, -3, -11, -19. All right, moving on to the next page here. This time we're going to look at our pattern in our table a little bit differently so that we can find terms without actually going through all the previous terms. We can figure out what a term might be or would be without having to go through all of the terms before it. Because if you're trying to find the 20th term, that would take you a long time to go through the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, all the way to 20. So we're going to look at what's in the table here. So we have 7 is the first term, and that's A1. Okay, and then we have 7 plus 4, which is also the same thing as 7 plus 4 times 1. So that would be A plus 1 times D. Since D equals 4, this is the same sequence we talked about on the first page. So 7 plus 4 plus 4 for the third term, which is the same thing. If you look back here at the third term, it's 7 plus 4 plus 4. That can be written as 7 plus 2 4s, which could also be written as A1 plus 2D. The next one, we have 7 again, plus 3 4s, which could also be written as A1 plus 3D. And then the next one, we have 7 plus 4 4s, which could be written as A1 plus 4D. And in the last box, we have 7, I don't know why that just got smaller, 7 plus, if you notice, the numbers that we're multiplying here, 4 is the previous term from the term we're looking at. 3 is for the fourth term. 2 is for the third term. So it's always one less than the term number. So we'd have n minus 1 times d. So our rule is the first term, A1, plus n minus 1d. And that again is the same sequence that's here in this box. So we're going to practice using that really quick. Okay, we're going to use this rule to find the 8th and the 20th terms. So we'll start with the 8th. So A8 equals negative 5 plus 8 minus 1. I'm going to fill in 8 wherever there's an n, times negative 2. Okay, so that equals negative 5 plus 7 times negative 2, which equals negative 5 plus negative 14, which equals negative 19. So that's our first one. And the second one is the 20th term. So A20 would equal negative 5 plus 20 minus 1 times negative 2, which equals negative 5 plus 19 times negative 2, which equals negative 5 plus negative 38, which equals negative 43, would be the 20th term. Now you can see that's a lot easier than going through all 20 or previous 19 terms. Right, we're going to stop here so that we can go on to the next ones in the next video. So this will be the end of part 1. Please continue with part 2.